Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I
My
appreciate it.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So we both live in Las Vegas, yeah? So it's what's it going to be, about 100 today?
It hasn't been bad. It's a little overcast, which is in our favor.
Yeah, I think so. Although weather report said upper 90s, so I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the weather, just stand outside a couple more minutes. It'll change.
Well, yeah, I think I'm going to spend this weekend indoors anyways because I've been so used to not going anywhere for the past year that the idea of going on a picnic just seems horrible. So I think I'm just going to stay home and watch movies or do something relaxing this weekend, yeah?
Oh yeah, yeah. I have the same in mind. I did all my errands today. I am done, and I don't think I'm going to go outside until Tuesday.
Good idea. Yeah. So let's see. You were formerly an HOA debt collector. Is that correct?
Correct. I did the non-judicial foreclosures for HOAs here in Nevada.
I bet you had lots of them back in the day. When were you working there?
Right around the time that the
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 crash?
house, the crash. So it was busy. It was a real learning experience, and yeah, it slowed a little bit, but I think it's probably gearing up for another housing crash because they didn't really fix anything. They just got bailouts.
Okay, so what do you think? You think it's time to sell now?
It's a seller's market.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a seller's market right now, because it's real high, but it's following the same trend as the last crash did. So I mean, if you can hang on to your home, through and sustain it through another crash, I would keep it. But if you don't believe you can, I would sell it. It's set up to happen again. So
It
that's what we're
looks
looking
like it.
at.
It looks a little scary to me, so I don't know. Anyways, the other thing you're doing is the American Podcast Association. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And then I know you have a book to promote, so we'll get to your book. So, the American Podcast Association, was this your creation? Did you do this?
Yeah, I did. And it's still in its beginning stages. But what I'm looking for it to be is a one-stop resource for podcasters, somewhere they can go to to get an education, to talk to veterans, to have mentors, to get vetted service providers, and to collaborate with each other and with guests and speakers and have kind of like a rating system, and make it just a little bit more standardized where people can go and feel comfortable that the information that they're getting is legit.
You mentioned something about vetting businesses. What businesses are out there right now that are scamming podcasters?
Promotions, promotion people, editors, they're saying they can do things, but then they can't really deliver. Some of the promoters, they will fill your ratings and your sites with bots, but then it's nothing substantial or long term, so it'll drop again. So it's those kind of services that I'm kind of gearing towards not having on there.
Oh, you mean like the buy views and buy plays, those types of things?
Right. I mean, most when you get into podcasting, when you're looking at growth, you're looking at sustainable, authentic, organic growth. You're not looking to steam pile your ratings with a bunch of bots that leave your following. Again, it has no value.
Well, how does one grow a podcast organically?
You appear on other podcasts. You do guest blogs or guest podcasts, guest writings, and you respond on media. Like on all my social media, I respond more to people with value and information than I actually post promoting my own things.
Give me an example of that.
If somebody is talking about, say, education, for example, and they're asking a specific question, and I know the answer to that, I will go ahead and post my answer to that, where everybody can kind of see it. So you engage with your audience. It's like it's having a conversation with everybody on social media, basically.
So if you engage in with your audience, then your audience will engage back and presumably listen to your podcast
And hopefully share.
and hopefully share, which will in turn grow again, right?
Yeah, that's like the social media, word of mouth. What it used to be is now, instant. So
Because it's always been kind of a big mystery to me. What is it that will grow a podcast? And since there's so many out there, I always felt that you needed a PR person to actually do this for you, to sort of get your head above the waterline, because otherwise you just get lost in the 25 billion other podcasts that are out there. Do you think that's really necessary or not?
well, sure, if you have the funds, you can do that. But most podcasters that I've talked to, they're in it because they love it, not necessarily to make a whole bunch of money. Some of these guys do it at night, and have day jobs, and they can't afford a PR person. And I don't really think that they need one. If you're doing it out of sheer love for just doing it, that's what you want to do is engage with your audience and comment with them online, be available to them. And amazingly, that's how it starts to happen.
If you're doing it just because it's something you love to do, then why do you care about your views and your stats and all of that? If you got 3 people listening, what does it matter?
It's your baby. You're proud of it. You want to get it out to the world. So at least that's why I do it. I love doing it. I don't have a PR person. I'm starting to get recognition. And I thoroughly just enjoy working with the people, and I love the community. The podcast community is so diverse and it's so welcoming. To me, it's just a really good time.
I have this conversation with musicians all the time, and I think it's the same thing. I think people have to decide whether they want to do it because they love doing it or whether they want to do it as a business. And once you decide you want to do it as a business, then all the rules change.
Yeah, they do.
So in other words, you want the adoration and you want the validation regardless if it's a business or because you love doing it.
I think it's a matter of encouragement also from the audience. I don't feel I need validation for anything that that I'm doing on my podcast, but what I do like and enjoy is the engagement and the conversations and the value that's there. And I get to meet so many other people, and I have networking opportunities, and I got a great side gig going right now that I got from networking and writing the book and doing podcasts. So networking, it's a lot about who you know and what opportunities you open yourself to. So you may not be able to get, funds directly because of your podcast, but you can certainly get opportunity.
Well, that's a good point. And I think that also makes podcasting a really great platform for promotion, for anything, for whatever you're promoting, whether you're promoting yourself or whether you're promoting somebody else. Where I have trouble with it is when people start calling it art, because I don't think it really is. I think it's just that. It's a promotional vehicle, like a telephone or a TV. There is a certain art to conversation, okay? But I don't incorporate that in with an actual podcast. I think podcasting is a platform similar to Facebook and Twitter. It's just audio version of that.
I can kind of co-sign on that and kind of not.
Okay.
Because I think it really depends on the podcaster, because they're creatives. Like, any kind of wordsmith or anybody that does blogs or anybody that writes books, it's not art or considered art, but it's still considered a type of value. So I think it's more of a creative and not like art. There's 2 categories there. Do you understand?
Well, yeah, I'll give you the one in the middle. I think it's a craft. Okay, there's art, there's a craft, and then there's a production line. Okay, so if you take craft as being in the middle, filmmaking is a craft because you can learn how to do that. You can learn how to get better. Okay, singing, the basic ability to sing well is something that people are inherently born with. And you don't get better with lessons if you can't sing in the first place. It just doesn't work. You can't teach talent. You can teach craft. People are born with talent.
Not everybody's a great podcaster.
Oh, I agree with that.
So
But you can get better. That's the thing. With speaking is a craft, okay? Even that idea of the art of conversation, it's a craft. If you look at somebody like the movie The King's Speech, where he started out with that horrible stammer, and then through training and repetition and therapy, he got to where he lost it. So he spoke much better after all of this extensive training. People can learn to speak well. My Fair Lady is another perfect example. So there is a craft to it, there is a technique to it, there is an ability to learn, short of somebody who is born without the ability to speak at all, like somebody who's mute. But anybody who can speak, who maybe doesn't speak well, can learn to speak well.
But can you learn creativity?
No, I don't think so.
Exactly. And I think that's where the difference is, where I wouldn't call podcasts art. Yeah, I just think not everybody can get better at it with time or have the ideas, to keep it going.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So there's an element of art in it because there are some people who just have a natural ability to do it and some that will never get better. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they've got a creative mind because you have to be able to think outside of the box. You have to be creative with your content that you're putting onto the platform. Now, again, I wouldn't call it full-blown art. I just wouldn't do that. But I also wouldn't put it in a craft column either.
Well, okay, then maybe it is like film, because if you think about filmmaking, the actual script, the writing of the story that came from the ether onto a piece of paper and became reality through the author, that's the true art. After that, it becomes more of a craft. The direction, the lighting, the sets, the camera work, the editing, all of that is a craft. It's something that can be learned. It's something that you can get better at. So podcasting might incorporate both sides of that to a point. But then again, I'm going to push back a little bit to say that it depends on the format of your podcast. If it's something like what we're doing, this is pretty free flow. This might fall into the artsy-fartsy category a little bit more. But for people who do podcasts that are heavily scripted with their questions and answers all written out, there's no art to that. That's just reading off a teleprompter, basically.
That's why I said, it depends on the podcaster.
It depends on the podcast. Yeah, I'll give you
really
that.
What they're putting out there.
Okay. We're running out of time, unfortunately. We just kind of blew through that whole thing. Your book is called Clap If You Can Hear Me. Can you give us a 1-minute synopsis and hold up the book if you have it?
I don't have it with me, but it's my book is about education reform, and I know that sounds scary and nonfiction and all, but it basically guides parents and teachers how to provide relevant education for today's world. And there's a whole bunch of resources in there to use in order to teach your children financial literacy, emotional intelligence, cultural intelligence, service learning, and how important those things are to become prosperous and get over the paycheck to paycheck and archaic system that we're using now, because it just doesn't teach entrepreneurship or gig economy or anything like that.
Well, I agree. In fact, I don't remember any classes in financial responsibility when I was in school. None.
Yeah.
Okay. And especially, I think, today with everything online and all you have to do is click and you can spend thousands of dollars with a mouse click. Where if you had a pile of cash in front of you, you might be a little less willing to part with it. But when it's a mouse click, it doesn't feel so bad, yeah? It doesn't hurt as much.
And kids, they're entrepreneurs by the time they're 12.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on YouTube, they're earning money. They should be taught these things.
I agree. Do you have a website you want to give out for your book, or a personal website?
I do. I'm at Musing, and that's MUSING, around LV for Las Vegas.com. And everything is there. All my social links and the book and a little bit about it and all the reviews.
Okay, great. How's the American Podcast Association going? I know I checked out to the website, and
Yeah,
it was sort of half under construction. Are you making progress with it, or is it getting going?
I am. I've been taking applications of podcasts and of service providers and people that are willing to kind of volunteer, mentor, and help. So I'm kind of getting all my ducks in a row before I update the website again.
Oh, okay.
We're getting there.
Well, Kelly, thanks so much for coming on. It was nice meeting you. Nice talking.